Coming to the next section or the part 2 among the steam power plants, we are going to talk about the boiler section. Boiler is the one device which is where the phase transition is possible, and with respect to the boiler section, as I already said, water is being used as the component for the heat exchange process. So the water is being converted into gaseous vapor state, and from the vapor state it is being further converted into a superheated state where the phase transition is done, and this gaseous or superheated steam is fed into the turbine for further expansion process. And in the case of boiler section, if we are going to talk certain concepts behind the classifications, high pressure boilers, boiler mounting, boiler accessories, and draught systems as well. So in the case of classification of the boilers, we have based on the pressure, low pressure, medium pressure, and high pressure sections are there. So based on the application point of view, boiler sections in olden days, you could have observed that most of the trains in olden days could have been run by the steam. So the steam engines are there. So that's why those engines are called as a locomotive applications of this boiler section. Locomotive application or the transport applications, and in case of stationary boilers wherever the power generation is being used. So these are the basic application point of view with respect to the boiler section. And sometimes in the case of food factories or the certain chemical factories, the boiler sections are also used to generate the steam which are used for further processing, food processing processes like heating or the generation of this ghee as such, like applications. Then based on the capacity of the boiler section, we are going to classify it as large capacity, medium capacity, and low capacity boiler sections, because based on the energy, the steam generation 500 tons per hour or 1000 tons per hour, based on that capacity we are going to divide how much capability of tonnage of the steam is generated per hour. We are going to define its capacity. So based on that, high capacity maybe 500 tons per hour, and 1000 500 to 1000, lesser the value between 100 to 10 tons, we are going to get in and around of medium capacity, and low capacity maybe 8 to 10 or 15, or like as such a lower capacity boiler sections. The based on the tube arrangement, based on the tube arrangement, we have water tube and fire tubes. Whenever we are going to take certain boilers where the water is being circulated and heat is added from by the combustion of the fuel, and this externally, so such type of boiler sections we refer it as water tube boilers. As in case of most of the boilers are water tube boilers, because higher efficiency of the water tube boilers are possible when we compare with the fire tube boilers. And in the case of fire tube boilers, the fire tube boilers are those boilers wherein we are going to get a concept of the combustion will be occurring, and the flue gases or the burnt gases will be circulated along in the tube, and what in and around of those tubes water will be present. So as a result of heat exchange process, we are going to get the phase transition of the water, and steam is generated. This steam will be fed into the system of turbine expansions. But in the case of when we compare both the sections, water tube boilers are predominantly used rather than the fire tube boilers. And when we go for the talking about the high pressure boilers, we have basically four concepts. One is Lamont boiler, Benson boiler, Wilcox boilers, and Velox boilers. So basically these four boilers are called as a high pressure boilers. And coming to the boiler mountings, we have boiler mountings means these are the mountings, and generally without these mountings a boiler cannot work safely. There is a possibility that boiler can explode. There is a possibility that there may be damage to the workers who are handling these boilers. So with regard to the safety of the boiler section, as with regard to the safety of the entire plant, we are going to mount, or we are going to keep up certain devices which are called as the mountings is the must for a boiler section, because this facilitates the safety working of an environment within the power plant systems. So with regard to that, what are the boiler mountings? Pressure gauge is the one of the component. Glass tube, mud box, manhole, safety valve, steam stop valve. There are various components. So pressure gauge is one which measures the pressure inside the boiler section. What happens if the pressure gauge is not maintained? If the pressure gauge is not maintained properly, we are unable to take into the account of the pressure development, because of which there may be excess pressure which is being developed within the system of boiler, as a result of which there may be boilers may be exploding outside. so which damages the entire working environment. So as a result of which it is necessary to ought to have a pressure gauge in a boiler sections. Then glass tube means the section between the steam generation and section between the water level indicator, which is also called as a water level indicators, because these indicators will indicate what is the level of the water within the boiler section. This because if the water level falls below the section of the boiler a certain level, definitely we can